Good day everyone. In this video, I'm going to continue the discussion regarding learners with additional needs. I'm going to discuss learners with difficulty with self-care. But first, let us define what is self-care. Self-care often refers to a person's capacity to perform daily living activities or specific to body care such as the following skills: washing oneself, brushing teeth, combing, trimming nails, toileting, dressing, eating, drinking, and looking after oneself. Those simple things na ginagawa natin upang pangalagaan ang ating sarili tulad ng pagsisipilyo, pagliligo, at iba pa can be referred to as self-care. And it is stated here that self-care skills are gradually learned by very young, typically developing children through adult modeling and direct instruction within developmental expectations. These skills, children typically pick them up through routines at home, watching adults and receiving simple step-by-step guidance. A toddler learning to wash their hands after being shown how, or a preschooler learning to zip their jacket after watching a parent do it, are examples of how typical self-care development. There are children na natututo silang pangalagaan ng sarili nila kasi may nagtuturo sa kanila. Meron din naman na nakikita lang nila ito sa bahay kaya parang ginagaya nila o kaya naman tinuturo ito sa school. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo sa mga parents natin is sobrang strict nila pagdating sa mga ganitong bagay tulad ng pagkain ng maayos, pagliligo, o pagtututubrush na araw-araw kasi this is very crucial for us. On the other hand, children with additional needs may struggle with the basic activities of daily living. Oftentimes, such students are those with moderate to severe cognitive deficits, including individuals with intellectual disability or intellectual developmental disorder. Children with additional needs, however, may find these basic tasks much harder. Many of these learners have moderate to severe cognitive deficits, commonly seen in individuals with IDD. Although these tasks are simple, meron mga batang nahihirapan gawin ito. Those are the children with additional needs. Especially yung mga batang mayroong mga problema sa kanilang pag-iisip. Those children nahihirapan silang i-perform yung mga ganitong activities lalo na kapag walang assistance or guidance from their parents. Intellectual disability is a developmental disorder that includes deficits in intellectual and adaptive functioning across domains of conceptual, social, and practical that occur during developmental period. Intellectual disability is a developmental condition that can affect both intellectual skills and adaptive functioning of a child. Functioning refers to a person's everyday practical abilities, social skills, and conceptual understanding. So, kapag mayroong intellectual disability ang isang bata, nahihirapan siyang mag-function ng maayos kahit yung mga simpleng gawain lang tulad ng nabanggit ko kanina na pagsisipilyo, pagliligo, pagbibihis at iba pa. And even their social skills are affected. Naapektuhan din yung kanilang kung paano sila nakikipagsamlamuha sa ibang tao. To be diagnosed with ID or IDD, a student must have deficits in both the cognitive and adaptive domains. Children with Down syndrome with moderate to severe disability may also have problems with self-care. Para daw masabi ng isang bata ay mayroong intellectual disability or IDD, this child must show challenges not just in thinking and reasoning but also in performing daily life tasks. For example, a child, let's say na mayroon siyang moderate intellectual disability, this child might struggle to even button a shirt even at an age when peers already dress independently. So kapag mayroong intellectual disability, yung bata ay kahit yung simpleng pagbutones lang ng kaniyang damit ay maaari siyang mahirapan kahit yung edad niya ay dapat marunong nang gawin yung mga ganoong bagay. Same with those children who have Down syndrome. Nahihirapan din silang gawin yung mga routine na ganito tulad ng pagligo ng maayos o kaya ay paggamit ng bandaw. Kaya if you notice, if may kakilala kayong taong may ganitong Down syndrome, they are always guided by their guardian or their parents sa kanilang mga gawain kahit yung mga simpleng bagay lamang. Now, let us proceed to identification. Young children suspected to have cognitive deficits which manifest as difficulties with self-care can be identified at a very young age. The traditional approach to measuring levels of severity of intellectual disability was determined through the use of intellectual tests. Sa test na ito, minimeasure yung IQ level ng isang bata. Kapag mild level pa lang, ang IQ ng bata is possible 50 to 70. Kapag moderate, ang IQ ng isang bata is 30 to 50 and severe IQ ay 20 to 35 and profound IQ is below 20. However, based on the definition provided by the American Psychiatric Association, using measures of intelligence is only one aspect as adaptive functioning also needs to be assessed to identify if a child has an intellectual disability. Kung mapapansin nyo, parang not really reliable yung traditional approach na yun. Hindi naman natin agad pwedeng sabihin na mayroong intellectual disability ang isang bata just because of a result of an examination or a test. Ang sinasabi dito ay hindi dapat natin lang i-measure ang intelligence ng isang bata sa isang aspeto lamang. For example, two children might have similar IQ scores but differ greatly in how independently they can eat, dress, or interact socially. Because of this, severity is now described in terms of the kind and amount of support the person needs. It is stated here the presence of ID or IDD is measured by direct observation, structured interviews, and standardized scales such as the AAMR Adaptive Behavior Scale and Vineland Adaptive Behavior Scale. Hindi na lang daw sapat yung isang simpleng test para lang masabi na ang isang bata ay mayroong intellectual disabilities. Assessment involved direct observation and structured interviews with caregivers along with the standardized tools such as adaptive behavior scale. For example, a teacher might observe whether a child can follow hygiene routines without reminders, while a parent interview might reveal if the child can safely prepare simple meals at home. Some of the domains measured by the AAMR Adaptive Behavior Scale include personal self-sufficiency, community self-sufficiency, and social adjustment. In personal self-sufficiency, this measures how independently a person handles basic self-care. Halimbawa ay pagliligo mag-isa, pagsisipilyo ng ngipin kahit hindi pinapaalahan-lahanan ng magulang, pagpili ng damit na susuotin at pagkain mag-isa. Next is community self-sufficiency. This looks at skills needed to function safely and appropriately outside the home. Ang halimbawa naman nito ay pagtawid sa kalsada ng ligtas, knowing how to ask for help, handling small amounts of money, following directions in public places, and using simple transportation routines. Lastly is yung social adjustment. This focuses on how well a child interacts and behaves with others. Examples ay sharing materials, taking turns during games, following class rules, responding appropriately in conversations, and handling frustration without aggression. Dito naman sa Vineland Adaptive Behavior Scale, first is communication. This measures understanding and use of language. Mga halimbawa ay following instructions, expressing needs verbally, answering questions, and understanding simple gestures. Next is daily living skills. It covers home routines and practical everyday tasks. Ang example ay preparing simple snacks, paglinis sa sarili pagkatapos kumain, washing hands, and managing personal hygiene. Next is socialization. It focuses on play skills, interaction, and emotional coping. Examples ay joining group games, making friends, using polite expressions like excuse me or thank you. And last is motor skills. This measures movement and coordination, both fine and gross motor. So alam ko naman na familiar na kayo sa fine and gross motor. Ang halimbawa ng mga motor skills ay buttoning shirts, cutting with scissors, running, jumping, climbing stairs, and holding a pencil properly. Those are the skills na ginagamit dun sa dalawang scale para ma-identify ang isang bata. Students who have difficulty with self-care oftentimes reach developmental milestones at a later age compared to typically developing peers. They learn to sit up, crawl, walk, and talk later than other children and may have trouble remembering and understanding consequences of actions. Due to cognitive difficulties, children with intellectual disability may also have deficits in the area of reasoning, planning, judgment, and abstract thinking. One of the learning characteristics daw ng mga students who struggle with self-care is nade-delay yung kanilang pagkatuto or pagka-development ng kanilang mga milestone. Maaring yung mga batang nasa age nila ay marunong nang gawin yung particular na gawain, halimbawa ay pagtayo or paggapang or paglakad, pero sila ay hindi pa rin. They also have difficulty remembering information, predicting outcomes, or understanding the consequences of their actions. Because intellectual disability affects cognitive processes, many of these children show challenges in reasoning, planning, making judgments, and handling abstract ideas, which makes daily routines and decision-making harder for them. On the other hand, depending on the level of support needed, a student with intellectual disability learns adaptive skills at a slower pace, resulting in delay, compared to same-age typically developing students. They benefit from modeling and can imitate well. Moreover, adults with mild intellectual disability eventually learn to be functional and independent in society. Depending on how much support they need, students with intellectual disability also acquire adaptive skills, pero mabagal lamang. Even though these skills develop more gradually, many students benefit greatly from modeling and imitation, allowing them to learn when shown repeatedly and consistently. With time, patience, and proper guidance, yung mga taong mayroong mild intellectual disability can become functional and independent in adulthood, managing their daily routines, work responsibilities, and social interactions successfully. Youths with intellectual disabilities are known to be friendly, sociable, and are reported to have positive coping skills. A study conducted by Carter investigated the strength and positive traits of transition age youth with intellectual disability or autism as reported by their parents. Using quantitative and qualitative measures, the study yielded the following positive traits of the youth. Youths with intellectual disabilities are not defined only by their challenges. In fact, many of them show strong social qualities and healthy coping abilities. According to the research that was conducted by Carter, this shows that youth with intellectual disabilities often maintain a positive outlook on life. This means they tend to stay hopeful, find joy in simple things, and approach situations with optimism rather than fear of negativity. So here are the positive traits of youths with intellectual disability. First is they have positive outlooks in life. This means that yung mga kabataan daw na mayroong intellectual disabilities, they are very positive in life. They optimistic na kahit mayroon sila mga problema ay hindi sila magagalitin o kaya ay palaging in bad mood. Instead, they find joy in simple things. They always stay hopeful and positive. Second is they show positive relations with others. So according to the research daw, yung mga kabataang mayroong intellectual disabilities, they are very sociable. They are warm, friendly, and approachable, and also sincere in their interaction. Based on my experience then, when I encounter someone with intellectual disabilities, palagi silang masaya at nakangiti kapag sila ay kinakausap mo. Next is have active coping skills. When it comes to coping, they show two major strengths: active coping and acceptance coping. Sa active coping ay It means trying to deal with the problem directly, such as paghingi ng tulong, tinatry ulit kahit nagkamali o kaya ay naghahanap ng solusyon sa mga problema. Acceptance coping naman, it means recognizing situations that cannot be changed and managing feelings in a healthy way, like staying calm or adjusting expectations. These traits show that youths with intellectual disabilities have meaningful strengths that support their well-being and social participation as they grow into adulthood. Let us proceed to general education adaptation. Specific approaches have been found to be effective in teaching students with difficulty with self-care, namely the use of direct or explicit instruction, task analysis, forward and backward chaining, as well as the use of video modeling. It is essential that the instructions given are simple and straightforward, and that hands-on experiential activities are used. There are many effective teaching strategies para sa may mga taong may difficulty with self-care. Let us discuss them one by one. First is the task analysis. It is a behavioral approach that breaks down a complex behavior or task into step-by-step procedures, thereby providing modeling and ample practice for the students with difficulties. Gargilo provided working guidelines on how to do task analysis. So, task analysis is simply a behavioral technique used to teach complex tasks by breaking them down into small and manageable actions. Instead na i-present mo yung entire self-care routine at once, the teacher divide the task into a sequence of simple steps. For example, brushing teeth can be broken down into, halimbawa ay na is kunin yung toothbrush, basain ito, lagyan ng toothpaste, brush each side of the teeth, rinsing and putting the materials away. Kaya pala kung matatandaan nyo nung mga elementary kayo or nung even high school, most of the walls ng ating mga room ay puro may mga nakalagay ng mga poster na mga gawain na step by step talaga siya para nababasa ng mga estudyante doon at natatandaan nila kung paano. Halimbawa ay sa mga kindergarten classroom sa kanila mga, let's say ay hand washing area station, mayroon daw mga poster ng step kung paano ang tamang paghugas ng mga kamay. So, Gargilo provided working guidance on how to do task analysis. First is define the target behavior or task. Simply, alamin mo kung ano yung nais mong magawa or yung target mong task. Next is identify the required skills needed to successfully complete the task. Alamin mo yung mga skills o yung mga abilities na kailangan mong meron ka para magawa mo ng maayos yung task. Next is identify the necessary materials to perform the task. Alam mo din yung mga bagay na gagamitin mo upang ma-perform yung task na yun. And observe an able and competent person perform the task. According dito sa step is kailangan mo ding pagmasdan yung, let's say, taong walang intellectual disabilities na siya yung mag-perform ng task at papanoorin mo siya. Last is list the needed steps in sequential order to complete the task. Ilista mo na yung mga steps na kailangan mo ng sunod-sunod para makompleto yung task. In an inclusive classroom, self-care skills such as washing hands and brushing teeth can be task analyzed into the simplest steps and presented a poster accompanied by pictures. Using direct instructions, the teacher models how each step is done, then allows the student to try the step with guidance and prompts until she is able to do the task independently. Hence, direct instruction and support from the environment in the form of prompts as well as routines that are simplified are essential for students to eventually become independent in using self-care skills. Sa isang inclusive na school, dapat ang isang guro ay marunong magbigay ng mga simpleng instruction, yung mga step by step hanggang sa matutunan agad yon ng mga estudyante nang mayroong syempre guidance pa rin sa mga ng mga teacher until na kaya na talaga nilang gawin yun mag-isa. Gaya nga nung sinabi ko kanina, sa isang inclusive classroom, dapat ay palaging mayroong mga poster na halimbawa ay steps ng paghugas ng kamay, pagsipili ng ngipin, para madali na visualize ng mga estudyante mo yung mga steps na yun. It will help students understand the sequence without relying only on verbal instructions. The teacher then uses direct instructions, meaning they clearly model each step in front of the class. Dapat is ina-demonstrate nung teacher na yun in action yung mga steps na yun, para kumbaga nakikita ng mga estudyante yung practical or yung mismong action na kung paano talaga ginagawa yung mismong task na yun. Once they saw the poster of a particular task, syempre hindi yun enough. Kailangan na i-demonstrate ng isang teacher kung paano talaga yun ginagawa in actual life. And syempre after nung teacher ma-demonstrate yung task na yun, hahayaan na niya na yung student naman ang mag-demonstrate nung task na yun. First is with guidance, and the next is independent na or alone na yung student, siya na mismo ang kailangang mag-accomplish ng task without guidance or assistance. Forward and backward chaining is used alongside task analysis. In forward chaining, the program begins with the first step in the sequence, such as getting toothbrush and toothpaste, then providing the needed hand-over-hand assistance, and then gradually fading verbal and then gestural prompts. The goal is to allow the student to master the first step first and then followed by the next step in the sequence until the entire task has been performed. So forward chaining is the teacher starts with the very first step of the sequence. For example, sa pagtututbrush ng ngipin, the first step might be let's say pick up the toothbrush and toothpaste, and so on until ma-reach yung last step. Once the first step is mastered, the teacher adds the second step and so on until the task is completed independently. This method is effective because the learner builds confidence gradually while maintaining a clear routine. Basically, yung forward chaining is magsisimula sa pinaka-umpisang step hanggang sa makarating dun sa dulo na dapat is magkakasunod-sunod. For example is hand washing. Syempre ang unang step dun is kukunin mo yung sabon, and maybe next will be wet your hands, tapos sasabunin mo na until ma-reach yung last step, which is pagbabanlaw na nung kamay. On the other hand, in backward chaining, the teacher models all the steps from the beginning and then allows the child to do the last step of the behavior chain with assistance and prompts. Dito naman sa backward chaining is i-perform muna nung guro yung mga initial step or mga first step, pero hindi yung pinakang final step, which is ang mag-perform nung pinakang final step is yung student. Once na ma-master nung student yung final step, maari nang mag-move yung teacher dun sa second to the last step. Ang gagawin niya na lang nung teacher is yung first step until to the last to the second step. Tapos i-perform naman yun nung estudyante hanggang sa marating ng estudyante yung pinakang first step. Parang hindi naman totally, pero parang kabaliktaran nung forward chaining, which is first step mismo nagsisimula. The use of video-based intervention, including video modeling and video prompting for teaching daily living skills such as brushing teeth, setting a table, washing dishes, etc., has been found effective for learners with intellectual and learning difficulties. With video modeling, a student watches a brief video of an able person performing a target skill or task and then imitates the behavior. In video self-modeling, the student watches a video of himself or herself performing a task. In video prompting, each step is shown in a video, which student imitates before the next step is shown. This is helpful as a student You can access the video anytime, replay it as often as needed to develop independence. Sa video modeling is may papanoorin yung isang batang mayroong intellectual disability na isang taong able or walang intellectual disability mag-perform ng isang certain activity, tapos gagayahin yon nung batang nanonood. Sa video self-modeling naman, the student watches a video of herself performing a task. This is helpful kasi naboboost yung confidence and reinforces learning. Kapag pinapanood nung isang batang may intellectual disability yung sarili niyang gumagawa ng certain activity, naboboost daw yung kanyang confidence. In video prompting naman, it breaks the task into segments, showing one step at a time. After each clip, the learner practices that step before moving on to the next one. This method is especially helpful because students can replay the video as many as time they need, learn at their own pace, and access the visual support anytime to build independence. And here is the summary of my topic. Just kindly read. Thank you.